Hey, it's Dan. Welcome back to I Allegedly. And I've got a good one for you today because there's a lot to cover, but we need to take a deep breath and just soak all this in. Please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. And today we have a sponsor, Patriot Gold. But, with this last week, let's just go through the last week with SNAP benefits. They're on, they're off, they're, on again. It's crazy because it's reminded me of times in my life when I wasn't doing well financially and the lesson that I learned. And I've told you guys this story. I think I told it to you years ago, but I'm going to tell it again. And that was when my kids were young. They went to an affluent public school in Tustin, California, and one thing that really bothered me was that they would have field trips, and it would be like, okay, parents, your responsibility is $55 for this event. Now, guys, 15, 20 years ago, I'm talking about. And for some families, that might as well have been 55. Hey, listen, we need $5,500 by, 2 Fridays from now, or you're screwed. And it was all the money in the world to some of these people. So one thing that I did when I was doing well was I said, listen, I don't want one kid to miss out on this field trip. You had parents going through divorces. You had, the dad that took off because he was a musician, the mom that was nothing short of a whore that left her family and left the guy with 3 kids, a little bit of everything. Okay. So things that I learned about that I was bothered by, but I was like, wait, these kids shouldn't be affected by this because their parents are having a difficult time. I don't want the kids to know about this, but I want to pay for this. And I just want it done. And it made me feel real good because nobody had any stigma. Nobody had the stigma, which was, Jennifer, you have to stay at school while all the other kids are at the park and at a field trip. And one of the field trips was really close to where I'm at a beach they had the bus and they took them down and fed them lunch and walked through the cove and, looked at all the wildlife and everything. And nobody missed out on it for that. And, I did that, and I also paid for lunches with kids that didn't have money for school lunches. You just walked up and you just said, hey, I didn't bring my money today and I'd like my lunch. And I ended up paying for it. And, gosh, I was trying to figure out today. I think lunch was $2, then $1.65, something like that. It was not more than $2 at the most. And they would call me and say, hey, listen, you're at $50. Can you come pay us? Sure, 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 sure. And somehow my son got wind of this. And he thought, well, my dad's buying ice cream for everybody. So I'll never forget, I paid on a Friday, and I got a phone call on a Monday. And I'm, no, you don't understand. I just paid you guys. Oh, no, your son told everybody they could get ice cream, so he's been giving out the code for ice cream. And I'm like, no. So he and I had to talk about that and got rid of that. But this whole thing has brought up a lot of different conversations, and that is, I feel for these people that didn't get the SNAP benefits, but I don't feel for the people that have taken advantage of the system. The problem with this world is COVID was a bad thing. COVID made it so that why should I work? Why I could sit at home and make $1,000 a week, not having a job. For some a little more than that too. It was crazy, and it spurred not having to answer to the man. And again, we all have to answer to people. It's just the way life works, the way business works. And you want to borrow money, you got to answer to the bank. Okay, so Ken Langone is one of the people that started Home Depot, and he wants to let you know that Zoran Mamdani is going to destroy New York City, and that this is a bad precedent. Talking about free everything is a bad thing. It's not good, guys. It really is not good just to sit there and go, you're going to get free healthcare, free buses, free this, free that. Me helping people because they were down and out, that was a good thing because I could afford to do it at the time. Now, one thing that's funny about this, and I was thinking about this today, there was a woman who, I was at Albertsons, I was with my girlfriend Lisa, who was going through the throes of cancer treatment and was incredibly bald and swollen from her steroids. And I was just working to help her keep her business going, making next to nothing. And this woman walked up and pulled on my shirt and she goes, "You're Dan." And she knew my last name. And I said, "Yeah." She goes, "I want to thank you because during my divorce, you paid for my daughter to go on that field trip." And she was so happy because she was so worried that she wasn't going to get to go with her friends, and she never got wind of it. And this was like what, 8 years after that, whatever it was. So again, I was financially broke at the time when she thanked me, and it was one of the nicest things that somebody could have ever done. So, God, you guys, this whole thing is a mess. The government being shut down, risking flying. I have a business trip this week, and I'm not going to fly. Nah, my nephew is an air traffic controller in the area that I'm working in. Now, I trust that guy with my life, completely. But I'm not flying right now. Would you fly? Why would you do that? This thing is a mess. The government needs to be reopened, and we need to get back to working. But Ken Langone from Home Depot, look at this house on Bayside that somebody ripped down this house, ripped down 2 houses and built a big one. Look at that thing. Okay? Anyways, it's a bad precedent. The head of the MTA that runs the buses, this Zorhan Mamdani is talking about free buses for everybody. The head of the MTA says, "How do you pay for that? How is this going to work?" Because the problem with it is this guy's going to win on a Tuesday. And on Wednesday, people are going to go, "I'm not paying for the bus. It's free. Guy won last night." That's what's going to happen. You know what's going to happen. And there's going to be fights, and there's going to be chaos and mayhem, and people infuriated. This is a beautiful home. Look at this. But it's on Bayside Drive where I'm walking. It's kind of a busy street. Okay? Millions of dollars. Millions and millions of dollars. Huge house, man. That's got to be 5,000 or 6,000 square feet. But, you get to live in the busy street. Now you're a little off the street. But you got Dan walking in front of your house, Got these houses on the hill. If I went over the hill, we're at Corona del Mar State Beach. Okay, so anyways, guys, there's more to cover on this. Now I have an announcement to make, and something I am very proud of. We have upgraded one of the sites that I own, and it is fantastic. It is called newvideos.com, and it is a video sharing platform. And to say that I'm pleased on a scale of 1 to 10 would be an understatement. I would say it's a 50, because this is a site that you can share videos on. You will see me go live on eventually. I think I'm going to start doing a live newscast at noon every day Eastern, which would be 9 o'clock Pacific. But if you go to newvideos.com, you'll be able to see that. So check it out. It will be free to use. Get your name on there. If you would like to advertise in the site, we have great advertisers. We are talking to different people, car companies, insurance companies, everything, local and national companies. It's very, very cool because of the way we can have pre-roll ads like you have on other sites, and you can also have banner ads throughout the videos. So check it out today. Go to newvideos.com, and I'm incredibly proud of it, and I think you're going to enjoy it as much as I am sharing it with you. So check it out today, newvideos.com. The idea of the free lunch thing is just that. It's insane, guys. And the idea of the socialist view, and everybody needs to sit there and go out and get free lunch and free food, it doesn't work. Someone has to pay for this. Someone has to pay for this. I just did a video that I want you guys to watch if you haven't seen it yet, about this woman that was just, bragging on TikTok and other social media places about how much money she was getting for free. And with that, it was ridiculous because, you're stupid. You have a PhD in debt. And I make almost $15,000 a month doing nothing, having kids. Okay? Wild. Watch it. Okay? Let me know what you think. But the idea with this is that there's a lot to cover. There's more to cover. Let me get myself across the street before I get taken out. Let's talk about our sponsor, Patriot Gold Group. Let's face it, guys, we just saw an interest rate cut. Isn't that exciting? Well, a lot of the stock market crashes were followed by interest rate cuts. Look at precious metals to protect yourself and your future. Contact number one rated Patriot Gold Group today, 888-330-1431. Let them answer all your questions. They have IRAs, 401ks, but they sell all types of precious metals. I love the company. I love their customer service. And contact them. Get an investor guide. Let them answer all your questions. 888-330-1431. Do it now before it's too late. You know, number one rated for 9 years in a row. You can't beat that. But one thing that we are seeing from all these different sources is that gold has hit all-time highs, and they think it's only going to go higher. You saw Bob Kudla late this week, and he thinks the sky's the limit when it comes to gold. Call Patriot today, 888-330-1431. Let them know that Dan from I allegedly sent you. Now, one thing that has really surprised me this week is getting all this knowledge about the number of people that are on these programs blew me away. It really did. You know, Louisiana, you've got 750,000 people in the state that are on those programs. County of Los Angeles here in California, 1.5 million people. Then you've got, you know, cities in San Bernardino County where you have a huge majority of people that are on benefit programs like Barstow, California. And they're just concerned that, you know, they got to protect the stores and the police have to work overtime. That's nuts, guys. It's just nuts. But we have bigger problems right now. You know, California has a pension program for the public workers. And think about what I'm about to tell you. They put $486 million into green energy funding through the program, through their retirement program. And the value of it, of the investment, went down 71%. Guys, that is staggering. It is a whopping $345 million loss. Hello. They have a $191 million shortfall. If they didn't invest this money into the green energy shenanigans, they would be positive right now for the public utilities and public employees' pension. Isn't that wild to think about? So I think the drinking game today is going to be wild. So if I say wild, you know what to do. I was shocked. I was shocked at that. But here's the most wild part is that they're saying, we don't know how we lost it. We don't know where we lost it. Could you imagine if you were married to someone and the spouse, your spouse said to you, oh gosh, I lost $30,000, $40,000. You'd lose your mind. Lose your mind. Now, it is anticipated that 40% of all relationships and marriages have major secrets that they keep from people. 40%. I'm telling you guys, I'm someone who's been divorced. It's the last thing you need to do is not tell something to somebody. I have friends of mine that got divorced in the early 90s. And my buddy was on a construction site having a difficult time and was working with cement, and the pump blew, and it blew cement all over him and all over his clothes that he had. The only choice was to, back then in 1992, was to go home and change. Okay? So he goes home and sees the mailman, and he's just drenched in cement. So he grabs the mail and goes upstairs and sees a letter from the bank. I believe it was Wells Fargo, because he showed it to me. And it was in his ex-wife's maiden name. And he says, well, this is odd. We've been married for 3 years now. So he opens it, and now think about this. 1990, this was just the beginning of 1993, and there was $28,000 in this account with her name on it, deposits throughout the month. And he lost his mind. He's like, what is this? By the way, working 2 jobs to cover the bills right now, and she's got a secret account with 28 grand in it. And this was the beginning of the end of their marriage, because I I am, nothing about, guys, it's 30 years ago, 30 plus years ago. I am tired. I am exhausted. I cannot work like this. And you've got $28,000 in an account. You're going to put that in our joint account tomorrow. No, I'm not. I saved that money. Okay? So that was the end of their marriage. I am telling you this right now. When you have municipalities that do investments and they don't tell you about it, that's the end. It's the end. We had a guy here in Orange County that was running the investment for the county of Orange, and he was using, Zodiac, and he was using card readers and different people through, different methods of investing that were crazy. It might, oh my gosh, I'm going to follow the stars and that will tell me how to invest the county's money. And what did you do? Lose it, and we went bankrupt. I think it was about the same time, about 1993 and 94 is when I think that bankruptcy happened. About the same time as their marriage falling apart. So I'm telling you guys, don't keep secrets like that. They want to automate Wall Street through Chat GPT. What do you think of that? I have used this before, Chat GPT. And my brother has said, hey, have you ever had it shut you down where it won't let you finish because you've gone too far? And he has this happen all the time. And I finally had it happen to me, and it infuriated me halfway through a project. So I'm like, you know what? I'm never going to do this. By the way, here's the other side of that house that we saw. Isn't that crazy? Millions of dollars, guys. I'm on Bayside and Iris if you want to look the house up. So, but anyways, guys, Chat GPT doing the stock market picking. I love AI picking for, your Bitcoin and your different meme coins and things like that, and all your cryptocurrency, or you could do it yourself. Next story is we're going to see this be the most expensive winter when it comes to your electricity bill. Isn't that terrible? So you have that to look forward to. All this talk about benefit programs, and you're going to be freezing soon. So not everybody gets to live where I live and where it's 70 plus degrees out, and the wind starts to blow, and I put on a scarf like I'm cold. It's crazy what people go through. Okay, and it's so cold at different places that you haven't seen anything yet. But this is going to be the worst winter as far as the expense of paying for everything. So get ready. City of New York is another area that declared an emergency over the SNAP benefits. You haven't seen anything until Tuesday. Once that election happens, all hell is going to break loose. I am telling you, you're going to see a run to from New York to Florida. Florida is going to be the hot spot that everybody's going to run to get out of there, especially businesses and things like that, because they just don't want this. They don't want their tax dollars going to the shenanigans like this. So, Mark Zuckerberg, he lost $29 billion in a day, and his net worth went down to $235 billion. So he went on the top 10 list from number 3 to number 5. Here's the best part. You and I probably couldn't name number 1 through 4, so we don't care. And most of us think that Mark Zuckerberg is a complete tool. So, speaking of California taxes, one thing they want to do with California is they want to tax billionaires 5% of your net worth. Here is why this is a bad precedent. What is your gold worth today? Oh, what if we have another week like we had a week and a half ago where it drops, 8% in a week? You pay 5% of your net worth on that one day. Isn't that terrible? I'm telling you, California doesn't know how to govern. They know how to tax people. That's what they know how to do. And I don't know, this stuff really drives me crazy. But I'm going to finish this video with this last story, and that is they're talking about a tech company that has 50 million products that they sold. 50 million. And people may be in serious trouble because they won't be able to get service on them. And it's iRobot. Now, I want you to understand, I was given some great advice. I like the little Roomba thing going through my house and cleaning my floors and stuff and cleaning up after Rosie. It's fantastic. But One thing that I did very early on was I was like, hey, this app is a headache. I don't want to do it. And one of the tech people online said, we don't have to use the app, sir. Really? I said, yeah, after 3 times of using the robot, it's going to plot your house out and it's going to know how to get back to the base. And of course, first 2 times it did it, I found the robot dead under a bed and over here on a rug, doing that stuff. And then ever since then, I press it, turn it on, and it goes out, does its thing, okay? And then goes back to the base and cleans up the entire house. And you know what? I'm not online. And it's not tracking my house. It's not tracking my whereabouts. It doesn't have my data. It doesn't have Dan's info on it. But that company, iRobot, could go bankrupt with 50 million people's data in there, but not Dan. Oh, I'm sorry, 49,999,999, because there's one guy that's not on it, me. Now here's the other thing. I have one of those smart meters in my home, and I disconnected it, reconnected it, and I'm not connected to the power company at all. You know who gets to control the temperature? Me. If I want it to be, if we're going to have a beach party and you're going to show up at my house in your bikini and it's going to be cold outside, I can control that. Whoa, your house is too warm for this time of the year. No, it's not. It's too cold for this time of the year. Pass. It's whatever the hell I want it to be inside my house. That's the way it's supposed to be. And guess what? I'm not tied to the internet. Well, you know what? If you don't get tied to the internet, you're going to pay $15 more a month. No, I'm not. What brand do I have? Well, we're not aware. You have to register it first. Exactly. Okay? So guys, don't fall for this stuff. Okay? Just say no. Okay? I got to get this. Okay? Hit the like button, subscribe. And if you have any questions, hello@iallegedly.com. I'll see you very soon.